In this lecture, we discuss some of the general skills a postgraduate student should acquire or possess, including information on how to write a literature review. After completing this section, you should be able to explain the purpose of a literature review, discuss the characteristics of a good literature review, list the different sources of information available to postgraduate researchers, and discuss the priority generally assigned to each find relevant literature sources using the resources of the university library, develop a system to capture the bibliographic information of and manage the literature sources that you have collected for a research project. Evaluate the authority, credibility, recency, quality, and relevance of different literature sources. Dissect and summarize individual literature sources. Create a dynamic and evolving heading structure for a literature review while reading sources. Use a synthesis matrix to synthesize information across multiple sources. Explain what plagiarism is and what one should do to prevent committing plagiarism in an academic assignment. Use the Turnitin plagiarism detection service to check a document for possible instances of plagiarism. Correctly refer to sources in the body text and list of references of an academic document. Correctly apply other technical care requirements that should be considered when drafting an academic document. Some of the skills we are touching on in this lecture revolve around writing a coherent and neat document. These include finding and evaluating source material, dissecting and summarizing sources, creating a heading structure, synthesizing sources, writing, referencing, and technical care. The purpose of the literature review is to dissect the literature that relates to your research topic, to see what has been done, how it has been done, and what gaps exist. Even though a dissertation or thesis has separate sections or chapters dedicated to discussing the literature, there are also sections of literature in the first chapter, Introduction, to give a background for your study, and in the Research Methods chapter, to discuss the relevant research methods for your study. Writing up literature is therefore an essential skill for postgraduate research. For some, the writing of a literature review section is the most difficult, as individuals in the economic and management sciences are generally not as extensively trained in the skill of writing a narrative. However, by following a set of basic principles, it does become easier. Remember that a literature review is not a summary, but a critical review and integration of research that has been done on your topic. Do not shy away from opposing views in the literature. It shows that your research is important to find answers for unknowns. Keep your writing structured so that it is on topic at all times, following a clear storyline. When we say your work must be reader-friendly, the aim is not to write as if your reader is uneducated, but to write in a way that is clear enough for someone who is not familiar with the field of research to be able to follow and understand. What does help is to ask a family member or friend who is in a different field to read it and tell you if they do not understand what you are saying. No one likes to be criticized, but in postgraduate research, you will soon learn that criticism is to your benefit as it will improve your work. The best advice to ensure your writing is clear, precise, concise, and correct in terms of spelling and grammar is to read it out loud to yourself. This may seem strange, but that is the only way to pick up errors one tends to miss when reading silently. For example, if you become out of breath while reading, you know your sentences are too long. You will also hear errors in tenses more easily. A literature review is not a one-by-one summary of the various sources you read. See the example? Notice how the writers write section upon section from the same source? This is a summary and not a critical review and integration of material. A literature review is a critical evaluation and integration of various sources, comparing them to find inconsistencies and similarities in research that was previously conducted. This is what integrated writing looks like. Can you see what is wrong with this citation? Let's have a look at the next slide. Supervisors often come across mistakes like this. The writer implies that the research by Peters in 2013 was followed by the research of Simon in 2015. This does not make sense. At the postgraduate level, we expect from students to critically evaluate each word they write down for accuracy and to ensure it makes sense. When you want to list items, you can use bulleted lists. However, do not use too many of them. There are two types of lists. In the first example, the list follows a sentence. In such a case, you have to make sure each bullet point ties in with the original sentence. For example, today's agenda consists of item 1, today's agenda consists of item 2, and so forth. That is also the reason why the individual items are not capitalized. The second example is a pure list which does not follow a sentence structure. Then the introduction sentence ends with a colon, and the bullet items each have a capital letter. Note the use of semicolons after each item in the list, as well as the use of and before the last item. It is sometimes difficult to find certain sources, but it is important to put in the extra effort to obtain them, even if you have to ask a librarian for assistance. If one uses as cited by, it may give the reader the impression that you prefer not to make the extra effort to find the original source. The quality of the material you source will reflect in your writing. Sources need to be credible, authoritative, and recent. Examples of accepted material include articles from peer-reviewed academic journals. These types of articles are available through university library websites and Google Scholar. Articles from popular magazines and newspapers are not acceptable for academic writing. When you use a textbook, make sure it is at the appropriate level. For example, when you are writing for a master's degree, it is not acceptable to refer to a textbook that is generally prescribed material for second-year students. Articles from magazines for practitioners, for example, the Financial Management magazine for management accountants, are acceptable material to use in academic writing. Reports from government departments include, for example, reports by Statistics South Africa, the World Bank, the Reserve Bank of South Africa, the European Union, etc. Steer clear from general information on websites such as Wikipedia, Investopedia, etc. Rather, find a reputable source for definitions and such. As part of the critical evaluation of previous research on a topic, the researcher needs to make sure all sources are reliable. The requirements of a reference list and citations in the text of one's work help, because if you cannot find complete information for a source, for example, if the date or author details are not available, it is likely not a good source to cite. The questions on the slide mostly relate to the completeness of information for the sources we use. The course notes provide guidelines on the best places to find information sources in the university library. The libraries of established academic institutions operate in similar ways. More recently, some people have realized how lucrative it can be to publish an academic journal. This has given rise to what is referred to as predatory journals or pseudo-journals. A predatory journal publishes any work to earn a publication fee. There is thus rarely a proper peer review system in place to check the quality of the work, as any articles are accepted for publication. A pseudo-journal has a name that is very similar to a well-known and renowned journal, so people accidentally submit their work to the wrong journal. Or it can be knowingly used by authors to publish substandard work while making it look as if it was published in a good quality journal. There is a constant supply of information on predatory journals on the internet. However, because these websites are regularly closed down and renewed under different names, it is not possible to provide a list here. However, a Google search on predatory journals can be helpful. It can be difficult to spot whether an article is from a predatory or pseudo-journal, especially if you are new at research. However, there are a few things you can look out for. Make sure the journal is accredited by the Department of Higher Education and indexed as an ISI journal. See if the journal is on the Australian Business Deans Council list and also check its ranking. If an article has many spelling and grammatical errors, be careful as good journals edit articles rigorously. If you worry about a journal, at least Google it and check out its website. If it claims to be indexed by Google Scholar, it is likely predatory, as Google Scholar is not an index. Watch out for any impact factors apart from ISII. Here are a few things to look out for. It is not possible to verify the quality of every journal you obtain an article from, but if the quality of an article makes you feel uneasy, please investigate deeper. As a postgraduate student, you will have many sources throughout your studies. You will need to manage these sources carefully. Not only is there an expectation that a student store all sources and data for as long as 10 years at some institutions, but you will also have to go to and fro through your sources as your study progresses. Proper management of sources will help you avoid reading through entire articles to find a specific fact. It will ultimately save you hours. There are software applications available to assist you with this. For this course, we recommend the use of EndNote, a reference management software. When you have a lot of material to read, it will save you a lot of time if you do not have to read each article in detail. When you find an article that seems relevant, first read the abstract. This will confirm whether the article is relevant to your study. If the abstract shows it is appropriate, read the introduction to get to grips with what the article investigated exactly, including the problem that was identified and investigated. Then, you read the discussion and conclusions to see what the outcome of the research was. Only read the research method and results if you want to apply a similar research method or if you want to compare results with your own. The statistical notation in research articles can be daunting, and it does not add value to what you want to put in the literature review. You want to know what other researchers did and, in general, what their findings were. If an article proves to be valuable, do not forget to look at its reference list and the sources it used. It can be a great starting point to see what others have done on a similar topic. Just be careful that your sources stay as recent as possible when you do this, as the sources in a reference list will by nature already be older than the article in which it is mentioned. The course notes provide some additional guidelines regarding the questions the literature should answer for your study. When you have your topic and are ready to start with the research proposal, it is helpful to first map out your literature review structure. A mind map is useful. From that, you can develop a dynamic heading structure in your research proposal template. This simply means that you first develop the headings of the literature review and then include the content. This helps you to save time because you can add information from relevant sources to the appropriate places in your document as you read through articles and books. Some researchers first read articles and make notes, but it can be extremely time-consuming to go back to all those articles to get the necessary material from them. Plagiarism is a very serious matter in academic writing and has caused the end of many a career. Plagiarism occurs whenever you present another person's words, ideas, or opinions as your own without acknowledging the source. This material can be published or not, and it can be in any form, even verbal communication. In essence, plagiarism refers to the theft of someone else's intellectual capital. Plagiarism does not only occur when you use the exact words or expressions of the original source without acknowledgement, but even if you paraphrase the original source without acknowledgement. Students should be aware that not knowing is not an excuse to commit plagiarism. It is the student's responsibility to ensure they know the ethical principles of conducting research, which include how to use other people's work. To avoid plagiarism, it is best to err on the safe side and always acknowledge all sources. Your supervisor will let you know if any such acknowledgement is unnecessary. These are a few more examples to emphasize the types of material that need to be cited and referenced properly. Remember that you only acknowledge the work that you use in your document. Do not put any other works in your reference list, even if you did read it, and even if it led you to another idea or source. You need to be careful to structure your sources so that it is not too repetitive. See the examples in the slide. In the first example, the source is mentioned in 2 sentences directly after each other. The second example is structured better so that the source is only mentioned once. Turnitin is an online software application that many universities subscribe to. With this application, one can see the similarities between a piece of text and all available material worldwide. See the example of a Turnitin report on the slide. An overall similarity of about 10% is acceptable because there is usually some terminology and phrases that are general to a subject field and cannot be written differently. The similarity of 28% in the example is therefore concerning. In some cases, an overall percentage of more than 10% can be acceptable, but then one needs to check whether individual cases of similarity are more than 1%. In the example, the 1% similarities from single sources at the bottom of the page are acceptable, but those of 3, 5%, and 8% are concerning. You have access to a Turnitin testing area in this course, where you can submit your work as many times as you like to make sure there is no plagiarism in your document. Referencing in academic writing is essential. It can be a very pedantic job, with every comma, full stop, and bracket being important. The same reference management software that we mentioned previously, EndNote, can be used to do your referencing electronically and to some extent automatically. However, please be very careful not to assume all your references will be correct because you used a software application. You will still have to check your reference list item by item to make sure everything is perfect. Poor referencing is one of the first indications that a potential student is either not ready for research or could not be bothered to make sure it is correct. In some cases, it is in order to use a direct quotation, but only when you feel you cannot state the phrase better than the original author. If you do use a direct quotation, use double quotation marks and provide the page number where the piece of text appears in the original source. If a direct quotation is short, you can keep it in the sentence where you use it. If it is long, you need to show it separately and indented as shown in the example. Note in the first example how double quotation marks are used for quotations and single quotation marks for emphasis of the term integrated thinking. In the second example, the large quotation is put separately and indented. They used italics to include their own emphasis. This may sound strange, but authors even have the right to the mistakes they make. Therefore, if you want to use a direct quotation, you need to include even the mistakes. You can use the term sic in square brackets to indicate it is not your mistake. The term sic comes from Latin and means so or thus. If a quotation is too long, you can leave out part. Just indicate there is a part missing by using an ellipsis in brackets where you leave out text. To improve clarity, you can also add a few words in a direct quotation by putting it in square brackets. As seen in the second example previously, you can add your own emphasis to quotations, but you must indicate to the reader that it is your own. The list at the end of the document is called references. Never refer to it as a bibliography or a list of references. This is to ensure that Turnitin notices it as a reference list and does not see it as being plagiarized from other sources. Even though one does a thorough check of a document before submitting it, it is useful to take note of the important formatting aspects of academic writing. If you apply these principles consistently, you significantly reduce the effort you have to spend later to perfect the document.